Welcome back. The jury in the Michelle Troconis trial has made its decision. She was found guilty on all 6 counts she faced, and she was convicted for charges connected to the disappearance of New Canaan mother Jennifer Dulos. The jury listened to weeks of witness testimony and watched hours of police interviews and surveillance footage. For more on the case, Brent Harden will take it from here. Brent.
All right, Sarah, thank you. And joining us now to talk more about today's verdict from a legal perspective is defense lawyer Jim Bergen of Shipman and Goodwin in Hartford. Jim, we appreciate your time as always. So first, I just want to ask you, were you surprised at this verdict?
Not after the summations.
Okay.
Before those summations, I would have been shocked to get this. But they did a very good job, the prosecution did. And based on the way that argument went, the jury found a way to connect all the dots.
Mm-hmm. You and I talked weeks ago, 2-3 weeks into the trial. We talked at the time about how much time prosecutors spent laying the groundwork that Fotis Dulos committed the murder so they could tie Michelle Troconis to that. What do you think about that now? We opened this show by saying there were 200 pieces of evidence and dozens of witnesses, but again, most of them seem to be tying Fotis Dulos to the crime. But as you said, somehow the jurors connected the dots. What do you think about that?
Well, Sean McGinnis, when he gave his rebuttal argument, and the defense doesn't get a chance to speak after he does, went through these 30 things and said, is that coincidence? And by the time you get 30, it's almost like a DNA analysis, you know, 1 out of a billion. Whereas, in fact, if you looked at that as that proves Fotis, but if you also look at Fotis as the maniacal, pathological sociopath that he is, it isn't necessary that she actually know everything. It's easy to infer it, but I don't think the presumption of innocence really worked because the defense spent a lot of time defending all kinds of things that didn't matter. The cops did an extraordinary job protecting all of us. But you don't have to make yourself on the other side of the cops in this case.
Right.
Cops do a great job. And the family that gets wounded by this, oh, that's awful. But the case is all about her head. And she was chosen, specifically chosen for being a family woman. And so she's not thinking like this. I mean, it does look weird. What are you doing sitting in a car? Because, well, why would she be thinking this guy's killing somebody? But when you look at just how Sean McGinnis laid out those 30 things and you just put them together, I could see why the jury went the way they did.
We're going to circle back to that next hour, but let's talk about a couple of things. Right now, John Schoenhorn said during the trial that Michelle Troconis probably should have been provided an interpreter, and those interviews with police should have been done in her native language. Does that give him anything to work with, say, in an appellate sense?
Well, it's something to do,
right.
But it's like a lot of the other things that happened during this trial. It's something to do. What you're trying to do is win. And in order to win, it's not all these little tweaks make things a little better. I don't think she was deprived of her constitutional rights.
Right, okay. So Schoenhorn also said after the trial today that he was very surprised on count 1, which was the conspiracy charge, and believed that there was no evidence whatsoever in his words to tie her to that, to convict her on that. Again, I guess I'm just asking, what's your reaction to him saying that?
Well, it does establish how he did not really appreciate how much this was coming across and the way it was coming across the jury. And when I teach trial advocacy, I talk about you got to start with point A, where the jurors are, to get them to point B. And you don't just keep talking about point B. You got to go with point A. And what he was saying is, I don't know where point A was. He didn't know how they were starting. And the fact is, the jury was persuaded by a lot of these facts. And you got to get them to go back there and then realize, but wait a minute, Michelle, how would she think of any of this stuff? Really focus on Michelle. Instead, he's defending Fotis and this and that. And it ended up becoming a bit of a mishmash. He's a very good lawyer. This is not really a criticism of him. I'm just trying to explain the answer to your question.
If you go back, though, before any of this started, and conventional wisdom says it's tough enough to get a conviction on murder without a body, conspiracy to commit murder without a body is sort of one step beyond that. If we had told you 2 months ago that this was going to be the end of this case, would you have been surprised then?
Yes, because I also knew that the lead prosecutor said, I've never heard of a case like this, said after watching her, and it's recorded, and it came out in the trial, she doesn't know anything. Yet some kind of way the jury went the other way beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a testament to how effective was the whole pitch in the summation.
All right. Jim Bergen, Shipman and Goodwin, thank you for joining us. Jim's going to stick around. We've got more to talk about next hour, so stay with us. Jim, thank you.
You're welcome.